Hey guys, it's review and teardown time of this GRUNDIG 20 watt USB-C charger. And I'm looking at this one here specifically because it's on sale at just €2.39 at the moment, meaning that it is cheaper than IKEA. So first of all, GRUNDIG is just a name. It's actually, as you can read back here, it's labeled by Action, and it just says that the GRUNDIG trademark is used under license. So there is very little of this old brand here. Packaging, it's actually, it almost looks like the packaging is more expensive than the product. There is also quite a bit of paperwork that makes it thicker, which is pretty interesting. Let's tear into it. Also, as for specifications, I kind of glanced over it. It's 5 volts, 3 amps, 9 volts, 2 amps, 20 volts or 20 watts, sorry, 12 volts and 1.67 amps, no 15, no 20 volts. Which is to be expected for a 20 watt charger. This is more than good enough. Oh, wow. This is more than good enough for charging almost every smartphone there is. Packaging is proving to be pretty hard to open, almost as if they're doing this for theft deterrence. You can okay. Oh, still. Now let me just glance over at the paperwork, just because there's quite a lot of it. Do not use, blah, blah, blah. Same specifications. 3-year warranty. And that's it, repeated in many languages. Okay, out. So this is the charger. At first glance, it's not too bad. It's got a few certification marks on it. Made in China, of course. Again, Action branding on it. This is basically an Action product. It's just so happened to have a GRUNDIG badge on the front, but everything on the back is very Action style. The casing is really tough, which it's good. This probably means that it did actually went through certification. The prongs are also quite stiff, which is also pretty good. And the casing is closed from the top here by ultrasonic welding, which I think, yeah, it's ultrasonically welded. So it's maybe a bit of a nightmare to open up. We'll see in a bit. Now let's actually do some testing. So I'm gonna plug this in. It's also nice that it specifies that it's 20 watts right here. So the charger is plugged in. Here we have a Pocket PD, cute little tool, and it's connected to a dummy load. We're gonna use, you see we have 5, 9 and 12 volts. We're gonna start at 12 volts. That's it. It's gonna give us the most amount of power. We're gonna enable the output, and then here on the dummy load, we're gonna set a 1 amp load, and that's fine. We have, of course, a voltage drop, that's 11.7, which you can also see here. And we're pulling out 1.2 amps, which is, as you can see here, it's the same. What I've noticed is that we can actually go far beyond the 1.67 limit, which that's about where we are. You see, we already went a little bit above, and we can actually go up to almost 2.7. So we're gonna go a little bit slower right now, but we're pulling about 1 amp more. So if there is current protection, it's a pretty loose one, and now it just shut off. So we're just gonna back it off a little bit, gonna reset it. It's gonna start up at 12 volts again. I'm gonna enable the output, and there it is. So it doesn't have much in terms of current protection. It's 1 amp more, which I think it's a little bit too excessive. And as soon as I go over a little bit, 2.68. So 2.68 amps, it's the trigger point. We can try again. So let's just wait for it to initialize. There we go. Enable the output. Yeah. So my next test would be to leave this right here for, I don't know, a few minutes. I'm gonna pick the thermal camera and I'm gonna see if it's burning hot. Of course, we are way over spec right now, so let's see. Maybe there's some thermal protection, maybe there isn't, maybe it's gonna melt. I don't know. Oh, there it is. It just turned off. Okay, so there may be some thermal protection, and we're just going beyond it. It is getting a little bit warm to the touch, I'm feeling, but let me just do something a little bit more reasonable, which is 2 amps. We can do actually a little bit more, like 2.2 amps, 2.5. Yeah, let's do 2.5, like this. And let's see. Will it shut off? Of course, we're dumping a lot of energy into our dummy load, so this is also getting a bit warm. But so far, seems like it's holding up. So is this secretly a 30-watt charger? So it's been cooking for a few minutes, 3 or 4, I don't know, lost count. Got the thermal camera out, and it is at right about 51 degrees. So yeah, a little bit more, 56 on the side. Let's check the bottom. Oop. 60. So it's definitely quite hot. But then again, we are way over spec, and still 60 degrees, it's reasonable. I can hold it in my hand. It actually feels a little bit less than that, but so far it's holding up nicely, even though we are way over spec. I was wondering if there is a current limit, but the current limit is global for all ranges. So the current limit is 2 amps, 2.6 amps, because there's some leeway in the 9-volt settings, which would be 9-volt 2.22. In fact, we can restart it. It's not locking onto the display. Let's just turn it off, turn this off, turn this on, and then we're gonna choose 9 volts. And there it is. I don't know why it's not locking in, but yeah, it's 9 volts, 8.88. Enable the output. No, it's 9 actually. And as you see now, we have 2.2 amps. We're doing 2.44. I think it's still going to die at 2.6. So let's see if I'm right. No, we can actually go much further than that. Huh. Yeah, I killed it just about 3 amps. So I just enabled the, yeah, 2.89. So interesting. Current rating is a little bit over. So it may secretly be a 30-watt charger. That would be pretty interesting. So yeah, I mean, it's still working. I haven't broken it. It's not that I've been doing this setup for like a day, but it's not that bad. And yes, there is a bit of a voltage drop, but that could be from the cable. In fact, what we can do is get a voltage meter, like so, plug it here, and see what we get here. So that is again 9 volts, as you see. We're going to enable the output, and it's 8.97, so there isn't much of a drop. So most of the drop is within the cable. Of course, the power supply should do should output a little bit more, because it should expect that there will be a drop on the cable. But yeah, even at 3 amps, which is more than the rated, it's still pulling. It's still going out at a pretty even 9 volts. So it really feels like it's more than a 20-watt charger. I'm gonna go back to the 12-volt setting, because I want to check that as well at this point. So we're gonna do 12 volts. You see it's gonna switch. There it is. We are going to do a 2.5 amp load, and it's still 11.95. So it does secretly look like it's a 30-watt charger, because it's perfectly capable of providing 12 volts, 2.6 amps, that is 30 watt. So that's pretty interesting. Okay, so I think what's left now is see if we can non-destructively, oh god, take it apart and solve the mystery. Is this a 30-watt charger? Teardown time. I've got it clamped onto the vise on both sides to loosen up the ultrasonic welding. Then I just slid in the razor blade to widen the gap a little bit. And now I think we are ready to pry it open and see what kind of mystery hides inside of it. Oh, yeah, there we go. So you see, maybe actually be glued and not ultrasonic welded, because you see the spots here. It's usually just one row, but maybe there's a different kind of welding. There's also a tab here, probably because there's some indentation, and getting it out is going to be quite a lot of fun, because as you see here, there is glue everywhere. Now, what we can see from here, first of all, the capacitor here, it's aluminum electrolytic. I slid the tool in here and probably damaged something, which we're going to see in a bit. And yeah, I think this, if we are going to look inside of it, it's going to be a destructive teardown. Let me just reposition the camera and see if we can get a better look at what's available to us right now. Okay, that was easier than expected. We pulled it out. The glue is pretty soft actually, so it doesn't really bond all that well to the outer chassis. And it's a really compact design. It's HSD PD 20 watts. That's probably the Chinese OEM model number. We see here the two contacts that go for the line in. They're also labeled. There's a nice fuse, which is 2 amps, 250 volts. These are some filter capacitors, which DH cap, 15 microfarads, 400 volts. Is it rated for 105 degrees? Yes, it is rated for 105 degrees, same as the other one. Yes. So again, more glue. This is an aluminum capacitor. I noticed that the leads are a bit long, so when I went in with the screwdriver, I kind of bent it a little bit, so I need to fix that. There's an optocoupler here for feedback, bridge rectifier, and this is probably the IC that does the no, there's got 3 pins. So U4, sorry, is probably the IC that does the communication for power delivery, and U3 could be probably a MOSFET. I think I need to ID the chips, because there's another one underneath here, which is the main switcher IC. We're going to look into that, and we're going to see what kind of rating do we have. But everything else is pretty simple. It's your common switch mode power supply. There is nice isolation with this plastic thing inside as well. Also here some pretty nice isolation, because that's where the live is going in. So it's live, fuse, and then into the bridge rectifier. Nice slotting here. So it's a very tight board, very simple board, but yeah, I'm not finding anything too wrong with it, other than everything is cramped. So it doesn't take much for an arc to occur, especially if it gets wet or moist. There is no sealing or protection against water ingress from the port, and it doesn't really take much to go onto the rest of the board here. But let me look at the chips and see what we can learn from it. Okay, so I looked up the part numbers and things got a lot more interesting. So both of these chips are from the Shenzhen CXW Technology Company Limited. Never heard about them. Interestingly, they have reference design boards, which this looks pretty similar to. It's got a little bit more like capacitors and maybe like safety equipment to be again, compliant as we saw before, but that's almost looks like a one-to-one copy of the reference design. So this is the CX7538BS, that's the rectifier here, and it's rated for apparently 18 watts, so less than 20. But then yeah, you see here that also on the Chinese wholesale you can get some complete systems, and we also get a hint of what's going next, because if we look at the main switcher, which is this one here, the 75GD 080BL, very simple chip here, everything integrated, and yeah, gallium arsenide. So right now, you know, it used to be that gallium arsenide was a very exotic technology that you only get on the highest end chargers. Now you can get it on something that is €2.50. But yeah, it's a 200 kilohertz switching frequency, so you're probably not going to hear that. And this is the reference design, and this is our version. It's rated for 27 watts apparently, so it is a little bit more than, at least the switcher here is a little bit more than the 20 watt rated. In fact, we can probably translate this piece here, but let's see. Actually, we're going to do English, and yeah, 27 watt high performance low power, which, you know, we were pulling about 30, 31. So yeah, it is, you know, very close to being a 30 watt power supply. Of course, 30 watt would be the limit. So 20 watt, the way it's done, it's definitely a good margin. And so it's also within specification for the components. So that's pretty interesting. We learned something new. Of course, this being a China product, they didn't really spend too much effort developing it. A company already did it for them, so they got the chips and the reference design all in one go. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. Gallium arsenide for €2.50. I'll put it back together, and yeah, I'll definitely use it. Looks good. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you again next time. Bye.